Yo, what's up? I'm Eldritch Terran. Welcome back to my channel where I like to talk about all things spooky, scary, and have a little bit of fun. Today on the channel, we're going to be talking about the brand new Final Destination Part 6, other known as Final Destination Bloodlines, and the trailer that just came out for it. This new Final Destination movie is one of the most highly anticipated horror films coming out this year. The Final Destination franchise is one of those legendary horror franchises, and they haven't made one of these in a really long time. The reason being for that is they kind of got oversaturated, and they started to not be as good as the ones before it. When the first couple Final Destination movies came out, they were so fresh for their time. A group of people being tracked down by death itself is horrifying. Like, how do you even escape that? You can't. All of these Final Destination movies more or less follow the same format, where a group of people survive some kind of catastrophic circumstance, and then death tracks them down one by one, taking them out all in the same order in which they were supposed to die. There are certain rules with this, like if someone after you dies before you, then you can be skipped and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, the circle of life and death always takes its toll. This formula was really fresh for its time, but it started to wear out movie after movie, and each movie just started to be not as good as the ones that came before it. Final Destination 1, a classic. Final Destination 2, one of the best opening scenes of all time. Final Destination 3, it was alright. And the fourth one, fourth one wasn't great. But Part 5 tried to take a return to form for the series and actually wrapped everything back up by looping around into the beginning of the first one. So where does Final Destination Part 6 Bloodlines put us? These are all questions that we've been dying to answer over the past few years while this thing has been stuck in a constant limbo of procrastination. Now that we finally have the trailer, let's check it out and analyze it, break it down, and go over everything else that we got. Yesterday, we received our first teaser trailer from the film, and the trailer actually serves more as a full scene preview than just your ordinary trailer. We see Richard Harmon's character Eric as he closes up shop in a tattoo piercing parlor, while Eric reflects on the recent loss of his father, tattooing Dad in massive bold lettering sideways on his arm. A chain above is knocked loose by his ceiling fan, and classic Final Destination mousetrap mayhem ensues. As the dominoes fall, the chain attaches itself to his septum, and in a panic, rubbing alcohol and a lamp are knocked over, igniting a fire. Eric manages to disconnect himself from the chain, but it sends him falling onto the fire, presumably burning him alive. This buildup of anticipation around the chain fake out, and also the fire that would ultimately end things, is straight up classic Final Destination. From the first film to the last, they've always gone with this method of faking out the audience to force you into putting your guard down. It's been their bread and butter when it comes to catching audiences off guard by surprise. The series has always had its fun with misleading foreshadowing, and I'm happy to see the series' DNA being visible here. At first glance, the trailer doesn't explain much, but also shows entirely too much at the same time, if that makes sense. By taking the choice to show us this full scene, they save themselves from giving up the ghost and over-explaining the film, but they also spoil a whole kill from the movie. From this scene though, you can read a lot more than what's on the surface, and that shines bright in my point about the fake-outs. It gives me a good feeling about this movie. So that's as much as we can discern from the trailer itself, but there's a lot of other news and information that's out there right now for Final Destination Bloodlines. Let's dive into that and figure out everything we can pull apart. The Final Destination series is making its long-awaited return to theaters this year with their latest entry, Final Destination Bloodlines. The upcoming movie is described as an American supernatural horror film and is the 6th installment in the Final Destination film series, following Final Destination 5, which was released 14 years ago back in 2011, though it probably will take place in modern day in contrast to how Part 5 looped back to the start of the series. Bloodlines is directed by Lipovsky, known for the Dead Rising film adaptations and Leprechaun Origins, and Adam Stein, with his first step into the horror genre, but notably, him and Zach have worked together in the past on Freaks and the live-action Kim Possible movie. Yeah, that's correct. At the writer's desk, we'll have Jon Watts, known for Clown and the Spider-Man films, alongside Laurie Evans-Taylor and Guy Busick, known best from Scream 6 and Abigail, respectfully. Okay, let's back this up. So, between the directors, they've done the Kim Possible live-action movie, Leprechaun Origins, and there was a Dead Rising film adaptation? Man, I wonder why I haven't heard about that. Oh, okay. Alright, okay, that's why. And the combined credits of the writing team amount to Scream 6, Abigail, and the Spider-Man movies? Okay, so this is a ragtag group of individuals for sure, especially when you add in the Nickelodeon kids that are going to be starring in it. But you know what? I'm still holding out hope, because Tony Todd is also attached to this, and he's been a part of Final Destination since the very beginning. And that's besides the point. Tony Todd is a horror legend. That's the Candyman right there. So it can't all be bad, right? Starring alongside him will be Teo Briones from the Chucky TV series, Kaitlyn Santa Juana, Richard Harmon, Owen Patrick Joyner, Anna Lore, as well as Nickelodeon stars Rya Kihlstedt and Brec Bassinger. The film's synopsis states that a young college student named Stephanie is plagued by violent reoccurring nightmares of her family's untimely deaths. So she heads back to her hometown to try and track down the one person that might be able to break the cycle and save her family from the grisly demise that inevitably awaits all of them. Before the release of Final Destination 5 in 2011, series actor Tony Todd said that if the film were to be successful, 2 sequels would be filmed back to back. Now, Part 5 was unfortunately not the smash hit that they needed to hit that margin, but a few years down the line in January of 2019, New Line Cinema would announce that a new installment was in development. Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan wrote the initial script and described it as a fresh take that would reimagine the franchise. So it's interesting to me that the synopsis of this movie describes the premonitions here as nightmares. There's been a lot of talk about changing the formula with these movies here, and I think that this may be one of the things that they may be tweaking up a little bit. Hold on to your seats, but perhaps in this one, instead of having like that big crazy premonition sequence that we're used to in all the other Final Destination movies, maybe this time it's just boiled down into nightmares that they're having. That does seem like kind of a drastic change to make here, but maybe they'll play it off well in the movie. We'll have to watch and find out. It's interesting to theorize that maybe that sequence that we saw in the trailer could even be a dream. Maybe it's not all happening at once as we're used to. Maybe these dreams are sequenced one at a time, showing the deaths of these family members. In March of 2020, the series producer, Craig Perry, said that the film would be set in the world of the first responders and feature EMTs, firefighters, and police officers, the ones who regularly put their lives on the line for those in danger, putting an even more sinister weight on the choices they must make to save those in need. When asked if it was in the same canon or universe as the previous installments, he said, "Reboot is too strong of a word. It makes it sound like they're going to change everything, but it's definitely still a Final Destination movie." That October, series creator Jeff Riddick confirmed a 6th film had been in the works for a few years at that point. In October of 2021, the project would, however, take a major turn as Patrick and Marcus would abandon the project, and Laurie Evans Taylor was reported to be the new writer for the film alongside Guy Busick. In January 2022, HBO announced that it would be distributing the film straight to home streaming, and Jon Watts joined the project as a producer. That July, Riddick revealed the film would differ dramatically from the franchise's formula, and in September of that year, Zach Lipovsky, along with Adam Stein, were selected from over 200 other candidates to direct the film. I guess New Line really liked that Kim Possible movie. Or maybe it was because during a Zoom meeting with executives and producers from New Line to make their pitch, Lipovsky and Stein staged a freak accident like the ones in the films at the end of the call. Insiders said the joke, which featured a combination of pre-recorded footage and visual effects, truly demonstrated the filmmaker's passion for the film, and this is what got them hired. In September of 2023, Tony Todd officially signed on to reprise his role as William Bludworth, under the pretenses that the film will explore the character's backstory and explain the full lore of his character. Bloodlines here is horror icon Tony Todd's last film, and it'll be very interesting to see how this was cooked up. Going back to the film's synopsis, where it says that Stephanie goes to her hometown to try to track down this one person. Could that one person be William Bludworth? Will Tony Todd defeat death himself? In March of 2024, it was announced that the film would be released in theaters by Warner Brothers Pictures instead of going straight to streaming. Principal photography and filming was scheduled to take place in Vancouver, British Columbia from July to October 2023, but in mid-July, production was delayed due to the long and brutal writer's strike that so many other films fell victim to. Filming would instead take place in Vancouver from March 4th to May 13th, 2024. And when Tim Wynn was hired to compose the score that he completed this January, that put the bow on top of our Final Destination cake. I'm really not sure what to expect out of Final Destination Bloodlines. I mean, there's been so many different things proposed for what could be going on here. The description that we get for the movie and the descriptions that we've got for the scripts that were written over the past few years seem kinda different. It's possible possible that they were all completely scrapped, but it's also possible that we could see some kind of amalgamation of all of them coming out. It seems for sure that this one's going to be unrelated from the other ones, though it's called Bloodlines, and that kind of confuses me a little bit. I had a personal theory going into this that maybe in some way or another there could have been all of these different Final Destination-like sequences that happened. Ones that weren't shown in the other movies, things that just exist within this world. But that maybe these people were able to beat their cycles by having children, like they laid out in Final Destination 2 in the lore. So that would mean that maybe have death coming after them, knocking on their door shortly after their parents die, because they were never really supposed to be born in the first place. I don't know, that sounds very dark, but I kind of get that from the tagline and the bloodlines and everything. But I really don't think that that's what this movie is going to be about. There's also the whole thing about like the first responders, paramedics, police and all that, and that makes a lot of sense. That seems like an interesting road to go down, but I'm not really getting anything from that out of the synopsis that we got either. And the Tony Todd thing, are they really going to explore Bludworth's character? How much of the movie is that going to be focused around? Could the whole film possibly be centered around Bludworth's family? Like, could the main character be his daughter or something like that? That would be a trip. I don't know. I hope that these Nickelodeon kids can pull it off, though. Apparently the test screenings have been going really well for this movie. It's completed and a few people have seen it. The opinions are looking really good, and I don't think they plan on delaying it or doing any reshoots, so fingers crossed, we're in for a good time. But that's everything that we know about Final Destination Bloodlines so far. Are you excited for the movie? What are some theories and ideas that you have? Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think that the big disaster event will be for this one? Or if you even think there's gonna be one. If you don't, let me know why. How do you feel about all the different ideas that have been pitched around Final Destination 6? And what are you looking forward to seeing the most? We've heard that there could be some kind of a tower collapsing. I think people were saying it could be a cruise ship at one point. I'm not sure, but there's endless possibilities for what they could go through. I mean, they've done some wild stuff so far. But if you enjoyed my video today, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content just like this. And don't forget to send it to a friend you think might enjoy it too. As always, I've been Eldritch Terror, and whether your day's been going good or bad today, I hope it gets better.